there in case I fuck up.
Okay, just in case I fuck up, alright. Can everyone hear me without the mic? Alright, I'm not using the mic then. Okay. Alright, so today's workshop is on 2D modeling. We'll be using Fusion. These slides were presented by Daniel and not me, so there might be a bit of some differences in how I do CAD and how he does CAD. Okay, so what is CAD? CAD is computer-aided design. You can model whatever you want, pretty much. Purpose is that so you can use laser cutters, 3D printers, or CNCs. We have them in the makerspace next door. Yep. Okay, so what's Fusion? Fusion is part of the Autodesk suite, so there's AutoCAD, Inventor, Fusion. They're pretty much all the same. It's just that Fusion is more common for us, and it's also available to students for free. And it also we don't have to, it relies on cloud process. It saves everything in the cloud, so it doesn't require that much hardware demands, right? Let's see. It also has CAM, which is computer-aided machining. So usually this is mainly for CNCs. So when you're using CNCs, you have to write toolpath, which you'll use Fusion to write that, right? Today we'll be making a simple wrench. So we'll be doing laser cutting, right? We'll just be doing a simple sketch. Next week we'll do something 3D, which will allow you to turn that simple sketch into a 3D model that you could still laser cut, CNC, or 3D print, right? Laser cutting allows you to make 3D objects if you start gluing 2D pieces together. If you slice them properly, there's a lot of ways of doing that. Laser cutting, you can score, you can cut, you can engrave material. I won't get into too much of that. 3D printing, you've probably seen a 3D printer. The purpose of this is that 3D printing compared to CNC, it lets you do different shapes that are not able to be done by traditional manufacturing methods, such as internal structures or anything like that. Yep. So yep, this is what we'll be making today. It's just a simple spanner that we can technically scale up and down depending on the size. There's many ways of doing this. I'll be doing it a bit different today. Right, so I think most people have Fusion downloaded and signed up or whatever they need to do. So I guess we'll be starting today. We'll start working in Fusion, right? So yeah. So what you make in Fusion, they're called individual parts. Parts can be bodies, but if you combine multiple parts together, they can be assemblies. They also come in components. We won't get too much into detail this week. We'll probably focus more into that next week. Yep, so assembly is where you join multiple parts. So yep, we'll head over to Fusion, right? So when you start up Fusion, this is actually not you may or may not look like this. I won't quit it because I don't want to log it back into Daniel's account. But yep, usually if it shows up, you have this data panel over here. That is just everything that you've had. Oh, sorry, let me just transition that. Yep. Okay. So yeah, that is pretty much the data panel. So we'll click on it. So it has recent data, Daniel's first project, new project, demo project. It has all these. If you want to access, so sometimes it may get confusing in Fusion where you can't find what you've been working on. You just click on My Recent Data. He doesn't have much. I don't think so. Yep, so I'll just make a new project for this. Alright, we'll just call this 2D Workshop, right? Oops, that's caps. 2D Workshop, right? That's good. Now within a project you can have multiple parts and components. We'll open that up, right? So yeah, you can upload parts. So if you already have something like a PDF or whatever that's already been drawn, you can upload that, you can trace over it, you can make a new component. You can make a new folder if you want. So if you're making some large assembly that has multiple complex parts, you want to make a folder so you can split each individual part. But we'll just close that for now. Right, we'll get starting into here. So yep. So just a quick overview on this interface. You have your basic sketch tools, so you have line, rectangle, circle. We'll get to those in a second, all these individual tools. You have create, this is the tab. These are mainly for 3D, which we'll get into that next week. Modify, pretty much for 3D as well. Assemble, all these are mainly for 3D. Inspect is just to check your dimensions and sizes of multiple parts. Insert is a very useful tool. So if you have, like this for example, you can project an image onto, you can project your model onto an image and vice versa. MasterCard, we won't leave that. Yep, so if you have an insert a manufacturer part, so if you know that this part exists and you want to CAD something around it, you can do that. Mesh, SVG, DXF. You can also import images if you want to just trace stuff over that. Make, so you can 3D print. So yeah, once you're done with your object, you can 3D click 3D print and it will generate it into a STL, which is the format you use to 3D print. If you want, there's no really use for this unless you're outsourcing your parts. There's extensions that people make, and then last is the select tool that I rarely use. Yep, over here we have the document settings. So that's just telling you what's in there. You can click on this gear. It just tells you it's unsaved on over here. We'll ignore that for now. Named views, origin, just showing, so X and Y is the horizontal and vertical, the horizontal and forward axis. XZ is the horizontal and vertical axis, and YZ is just the forward and vertical axis. That just helps you to see things a bit clearly if you ever have a need for that. And then because we don't have anything in here, so that's why Sketches is currently open right here. Now, simple. I'll just go back to this slide. So we've already gone to the part where we've opened File and New Design. If I'm going too fast at any point, just stop me and we'll continue on from there. So yeah, I've gone over most of this. There's a timeline here on the bottom. So if you ever make a mistake and you realize that you wanted to edit a dimension that you've already changed in 5 or 6 steps before, you can go back into here and you can change that dimension. You have these orbit tools. These are just your camera tools essentially. You have display settings. This is just all personal preference. I won't go into that today. Grids and snaps, same thing. Layout grid, snap to grid. Snap to grid is something you should have enabled. It does help you quite a bit. It can be annoying if you don't have that enabled. Viewports, so you can have four windows showing different angles of your CAD. Won't go into that today. Having a mouse is much more convenient for this. So with the mouse, usually the right click button is the orbit. We can't see anything right now because there's nothing to see, right? If you want to drag, so if you right click and drag, oops, sorry about that. Right click and drag, it'll show you functions. If you click shift and if you do shift and middle mouse button, you'll drag around. Yep. Here is the viewport essentially. So you have home, right? Home is pretty much what we call a axonometric or isometric view. So there's two, it's projected at a 45-degree angle. If you just want to see the top plane, you just click top. You can rotate this cube around. You can, yep, whatever you want to do. For today's purposes, we'll be going on the top plane. So right now I have it set on the top plane. We'll be making, yep, moving the camera. I've already gone through that. So starting the sketch, right? So sketches are 2D drawings. Okay, so first we'll go into the sketch. We'll just hit create sketch. And now it shows you which plane you want. It gives you a selection of planes you want to draw on. I'm already in the top plane, but for example, if we were in this view and I wanted to sketch, it will let me select a plane that I want to. Oh, that's weird. Let me just exit out of that. Yep. So yep, for example, if we want to sketch, create sketch, it'll let you select which plane you want to be on. Now, because of 2D, it does make life a bit easier if you sketch on the 2D plane, on top view. So just click on that and it'll automatically snap to that plane. Now, you'll often notice there's this, when you're in sketching mode, there's this thing over here, sketch palette, and there's stop sketch. So if there's a dimension you want to edit, you may have to, sometimes you realize that it's not working. You just click stop sketch and it'll let you change the other functions that are not part of the sketch. So yep. So we've chosen our plane to draw on. Okay. So to draw a curve, so simple. We'll just do a simple line for now. So just click line. They also show you the shortcuts if you like using keyboards. So L is line, rectangle is R, pretty straightforward. Circle. Yep. Trim, offset, all that. Right. So for example, we'll just draw a simple line from here. Now that you can click a point, you click the next point, and you've drawn it. Now if you can keep drawing lines. If you don't want to keep drawing lines, you just hit escape and that's done. Now you can always change the dimension of it. So right now it's snapped to 50 mils. If you want to change the dimension, you just click on this little ruler here, double click it. Yep. Or you can also do this. Right, you can do sketch dimension. That will help you. That shows you the dimension of that. Now that's set. So if I want to change that to more, just hit 70 mils, and that shifts it up. Right, that is still defined as 50 mils, but it's actually 70. And go back into that. Right, so we'll just draw a line again. Line. You can set the angle you want. So for example, if I want a 70 mil line at 45 degrees, just hit tab and you can go into that and you're done. It'll even show you the angle, right? So if I want to change the angle, maybe I want it at 85 degrees. Yep, like that. Very simple. Now for this purpose, we'll just have it at 90 degrees. Right? Click the point, draw a starting point, draw a starting point, draw an end point. Right? Rectangle, circle, we'll do that now. Okay, so a rectangle is really simple. Let's do that. Now there's two dimensions. If I want a 150 by 30, it'll preview it as well. You hit enter, and that's done. Now if you want to change these two dimensions, you just click on the values. Double click. If I want that at 80, you hit enter. Right? If you want that at 250, you hit enter. Right? Now, so once you're done drawing the line, it should show that value. Just double click on the number. Yep. If you want to drag around, it's control. It's different on Mac and Windows, I think. So in Windows, it's control and middle mouse button to pan around. To orbit is just middle mouse button and you can orbit around. Right? If you want to go back to your view, just go back to top. I like working in this orientation. Okay. So on Windows, it's shift and scroll or shift and drag. It's pretty much the same thing. I'll delete this triangle. Sorry. I'll delete the rectangle. If you don't have dimensions, it's probably just you haven't set it up right. But we'll assume those dimensions aren't there. You can click on the shape and you can. So we'll stop the sketch first, right? We'll stop that sketch. We'll exit out of the sketch. Go back to top view, right? If it doesn't have dimensions, oops, I'm not used to this. If it doesn't have dimensions, what you can do is you can right click on this, right? You can click edit sketch and it'll probably show it up again. Yeah, your sketches will be on the side here. I've deleted all the sketches, but they still exist. So for example, if I want sketch 1 and 2 are already gone. but if you hover over it, it will highlight what sketch you are in. So right now this is the third sketch. Hover over it, it'll show you you're currently in the sketch. Now if I want to hide that sketch, you just click the little light bulb on that, and it doesn't exist anymore. Well, it still exists, you just can't see it, right? Click back on the light bulb, it's there again. Alright, now I'll just delete this once again. Actually, I'll just delete all 3 of these sketches. Right, oh, that's weird. I'll delete all 3 sketches just to make things a bit easier. Now, next thing is just circle, center diameter circle. You select your point, your plane, right? Click your, and whatever size you want. We'll just do 200 mils for example. Hit enter, that's done. Now, if you want to move any object in Fusion, it's simply just dragging. You want to stop the sketch first, obviously. Oops, yep, that's undo. So undo and redo in Fusion are right click and left or right. You can, so yeah, if you right click and you hold, this menu pops up and shows you all these functions you have. Probably won't go into that too much today. Yep, so if I want to move this, double click that, hit M. M is the shortcut for move. Right, there's different ways of moving it. So first you want to select your geometry. Yep. Now you can move it up. You can rotate it. There's no point in rotating a circle, obviously. Yep. Okay, once you're satisfied with that, just hit OK, and you're good. Now you stop the sketch, and there's a circle. Okay, just delete that. Delete. Okay, we've all done that. Now dimensioning and points. So that's exactly what I was talking about before. Dimensioning. Once you start making your object, it'll pop up all the little value bars you can change. Yep. Here we go. Alright, ellipse, arc, and polygon. We'll go in that. So, arc, right? 3-point arc, center point arc. So a 3-point arc is you define the starting point, the end point, and the center point. So we'll just do that right now. So this is your starting point, this is your end point, and this is where you want the height of the arc essentially. So we just did that, for example. There's also center point. So you select the center point here, and then you select the secondary point, for example that, and that shows you where the starting point and the end point, right? And final one is tangent arc. We won't go into that. So polygon, right? Circumscribed polygon. So start here, for example. Now, for example, if we wanted a octagon, you just hit 8 and it does that for you. If you wanted dodecahedron, same 12. Once it gets 16, it pretty much becomes a circle. Yeah, so we'll just do a simple, like, if you do a rectangle, right? We'll just do an octagon so you can still see it. You can manipulate your dimensions, 70 mils right there. What else is there? Ellipse. Oops. We'll exit out of that sketch. Alright. Delete that. So if you want to do an ellipse, it's here. Click on that. Now, we'll just start that there. You can choose the width of your ellipse. So let's say 900, and then you can choose essentially the height of that. Just do that. You can always change these values. So for example, if I want to change the values right now, just for some of you that might have missed it, right click, edit sketch, and you can see the dimensions there, 500, 250. You can click on these dimensions. Yeah, oh, that's weird. Alright, so if you can't see the dimensions, what you can do is you can do sketch dimension. Where was it? Sketch dimension. Yep, sketch dimension. So you select that point, and you drag it out. Now if I wanted that as 2000, yep. Okay. Offset, trim, and extend. So let's go into offsetting. Alright, so offsetting is just creating essentially a copy of it in a smaller form, right? So if we have a rectangle, for example, if I wanted to make a box, we'll make a rectangle right here. This is a random size. Now once you're done with that, you hit O, which is offset, right? You select your curves, do that. Now for example, if I wanted to have, this is really important for 3D printing, right? If you want to print out some hollow object but you want a shell, you use offset, right? So if we want the shell to be 1 mil thick, the offset is 1 mil. If you want the shell to be 3 mil thick, you hit 3 mil, right? Now the offset's probably too small to see because it is a bit object. We'll try that again. Offset, you can drag that in. Oh, yep. So when you offset, make sure you do select all 4 curves, or how many number of curves that are in that object, and you can offset that. Now you can do a positive offset, you can do a negative offset, either way it's up to you. We'll just do a positive offset. That's done. Now you see that we have an offset now. Now what we can do is, there's a function called extend, right? So extend that curve. Yep, so that's been extended. Essentially it just finds the next intersection. So it finds that line and the next intersection of that curve and extends it. Now trim is pretty much the opposite of extend. So trim is removing the closest points of intersection. So for example, I don't want that, these two. Those are the points we actually just extended. So you just hit trim, click on them, 1, 2, gone. It's pretty much whatever's intersecting with 2 other lines or 1 other line. Either way, that gets removed. Yep. Okay. Offset, trim, extend. Linear pattern and mirroring. Yep. So if you wanted 5 circles or something like that, you can do that pretty easily. So we'll just make a circle. Yep, so 100. Alright, should probably zoom in a bit more. Alright, so we've made our circle, right? You can do a rectangular pattern, you can do a circular pattern. Yep. So we'll be doing a rectangular pattern for today. So you do a rectangular pattern, click that. Now, no, sorry, I need to stop the sketch first. So do rectangular pattern, select your curve. Oh, that's weird. Yeah. Let me just try that again. Alright. Okay. Next we'll do rectangular pattern, or yeah, rectangular pattern. So it asks you which objects you want to select. We'll select that. Now that's been selected. Next you want to select your direction. So we can go this way, right? There's a quantity here. So for example, if we wanted 8 of them, you do 8 of them. Next you have your distance, so that's the distance, the overall distance. So you can drag that out if you want to align them. Now right now these are overlapping. Stretch that out. That's pretty good. Okay, so once you start drawing the one shape, you go here and you do rectangular pattern or circular pattern. You can check your distance, direction type, quantity. Yep, we've only selected one of the directions, so we're fine. If you wanted to do something like 24 of them, we have 8 in this direction, and you have 3 in the vertical direction. Go into that, just hit OK. That's done. Mirroring. So obviously with mirroring, it doesn't really help when you have a circle. So I'll just do a random shape. Alright, once that's done, very simple. Select it, mirror, object selected, 8, mirror line. So you can have it mirrored about that axis. Sometimes you may have to draw a line to mirror the object. There's no defined line, so we just do that. That should define it enough. So we click that. Click that. You hit mirror. Select your objects. Oh yeah, sorry. So you select your object here. You select your mirror line, which is that, and then there's a copy on the other side. Pretty much every function I've gone through right now is all in Sketch. You'll find it in there. Alright, we'll delete that. Okay, mirror is done. Text, yep, we'll be doing a bit of text today as well. So in Sketch again, there's text right here. Doesn't matter where you really put it. Text. So today's thing is create. No, that's cap. Create. You can choose your height. You can choose your angle. You can choose your font. Doesn't matter. We're just for demonstration purposes. That is quite small. It's at 10 mils. Once you're done with that, you stop your sketch, and you're done. Okay. You can also move the text around, like I said before. You just hit M for move, and you can drag text around. Okay. Now, once we're done with drawing it, we can export this in. We export this to the laser cutter in either DWG, DXF, or PDF. We'll do that once we actually finish our drawings. Okay. So, and just go back to here, right? So, oops. Where was it? Here we go. We'll be making this wrench today. Doesn't really matter how you do it, as long as we have a functioning wrench by the end of today. Pretty much good. Now, for this example, let's say we're making a. Let me just delete all these sketches first. Let's say we're making a 7 mil, or let's just say 10 mil, right? So let's say we're making a 10 mil spanner today. What we'll do, oops, there we go. I'm just going to define a line that's 10 millimeters vertically. Right, we have that line now. Next, what you want to do is you grab your circle, center diameter circle. You put that in the center, which is right there. It will snap to it. When you notice something is in the center, it will have this triangle, as you can see. Do that. Now, that doesn't really matter too much. Actually, we'll do an arc. It might make life a bit easier. We'll do an arc here. We'll do a 3-point arc. So that, and that right there. Okay. Alright. Next, we'll extend those lines to form an actual spanner. So let's put it, I don't know, put it at 10 mils, and we'll do another 10 mil here. Okay. Now once that's done, we'll see here there's actually a circle right here. So next we'll find the center point between that, and we'll draw a circle around that. So yeah, center point of that. So you find a circle. We'll just snap it to about there. It's pretty good. Now, next thing you do, you draw another line. It will snap. Oops, sorry about that. Next thing you do, you draw another line here. That's fine. Draw another line here to here. Join those together. Join that together. Right. Okay, next we'll be making this section of it. Right, so we just draw a line from there. Draw it down. We'll say, I say about, yeah, 50 is not bad. 50 is an appropriate size. Actually, 50 is probably a bit small for this. Let's make it 80. Okay, that's done. You can copy that if you want. You can drag that down if you can. Yep. And Fusion's pretty good about snapping things to the. Yep. So that's snapped to it. Hit OK. Now we'll just draw another arc here, just to finish the handle off. So we'll just do 3-point arc. Actually, we'll do a center point arc. That center point arc is on that line, so we know it's roughly about there. You can do that. Drag that back here, right? There you have your handle. Okay, now next we'll use the trim function. So we hit T, trim that. We'll trim pretty much that part, that part, that part, that part, and oh, that wasn't the right part. I mean, yep, sorry, I trimmed the wrong parts. Trim that, trim that, trim that, trim that, and we'll trim that as well. We'll also need to trim those two. Yep, that's pretty much what we have here. Whatever you want the end of the handle is up to you. Doesn't really matter too much. If we want to make this a bit more ergonomic, what we can do is we'll do an arc again. Actually, yeah, we'll do an arc. So we want, like most spanners, they do have a small curve in the center just to help your hands grip a bit better. So that's a 63. We'll just do 60, just to round things up a bit. Right. Oops. Three-point arc from there, there, and you can do whatever you want here. Okay, now this is one place where you can actually use the mirror function. For this purpose, I'll just draw a really quick line here that we know is in the center because that is the center point. Now you click on that, you hit M, which is mirror. Oh, sorry, that's move. Sorry, I meant to. My bad. Mirror actually doesn't have that. So you select that, right? Next thing you do is you select, oops, that's not right. Next you select the mirror line. It asks you if you want to select it. You make sure that is actually highlighted before you select anything. So mirror line, you click on that, click on that, then you will do that. Now that's mirrored on the other side. You hit OK. We go trim again, trim that off, and we trim that off. Yeah. Now if you want to make, actually we'll probably go a bit more, slightly more complicated today maybe. We can, most spanners you'll see there's an open end and there's a box end. So a box end is usually a hex, so we can do a circumscribed polygon here. That happens to be the center line we drew before. No, it doesn't want to snap. Oh, that's weird. Alright, we'll snap to here, that's center. So obviously it won't hit 10 mils, but we can make this 7 mil for example. Now obviously this is still a still a 2D object, so if you do laser cut this, it's not that difficult to. Next we'll put the text in there. So we want to put the text in there, we'll just hit T for text. No, sorry, T is not for text, sorry, T is for trim. I keep remembering. T is text, no, T is not text. You can put that wherever you want. You can start here, you can start in the center. we'll just start there, right? Create, you can put your name on there, you can put your initials, doesn't really matter too much. That height, we'll put it as 8 mils. Once you're done, we're happy with that. We'll move those letters down a tiny bit. Let's just say 3 mil. Oops, -3. That's pretty centered. And that's pretty much it. Next thing we'll do is we'll select this entire thing. If you do that, you'll notice that here it says sketch 10. It's highlighted down here. Now for laser cutting, we'll just right click on that. Oh, sorry. You actually have to stop the sketch for that. So yep, stop the sketch. Right click. Here we go. Yep, save as DXF. Hit save as DXF. I'm just going to check on the desktop right now. Create spanner. Right, that's done. Go to the desktop. That's there. If you have Rhino, if you have Illustrator, it should be able to open these files. Because I think DWG is compatible. If you don't have any of these, you can actually export it as a PDF if you want. Yep. Let me just go back into here. Yep. Let me just make sure if I'm missing anything from here. Nope. Okay, so yeah. Once you've done that, you've made your shape. You can go into you can go to laser cutter and you can export this out. Actually, the 3D printer will also let you do 2D shapes now. So what happens with the 3D printer is you can upload an image, and the software will actually know how to convert that image into a 3D object. What else do we have here? I might, just for this purpose, I'll go into one or two of the 3D tools. So main thing for this, if you want to 3D print this, is you extrude it, right? Extruding is just lifting a flat surface into an object. So you hit create, you select what you want to extrude. That's what you want to extrude. We'll say about 5 millimeters. Okay. You hit OK. Now I probably can't notice it from here, but that is extruded now, right? Now with a metal tool like that, it's probably not comfortable for you to hold. So you can do something called in modify. It's called a fillet, called a chamfer. Either way, you can do that. We'll just do a fillet. So select all the edges that I wouldn't select those. I mean, you could, but pretty much select all the handle edges. There we go. I might as well do that one as well. That one's done. Oops. Yep. Now, that radius of a fillet is essentially how much you're chopping off at a cross section. So if it's like, I think this is a 5. We set it as 5 mil. So ideally, you probably want to be doing roughly a 1.5 mil fillet. Yep. So yeah, that's what happens when you fillet it. Yep. So that's what happens when you fillet it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for today's workshop. Next week we'll be doing more 3D stuff. But yeah, feel free to work on your own designs. If you have any questions, you can ask me. If you guys want me to demonstrate how to make something else, you can just call it out. I'll make it. Yeah. Fingers. That's a bit difficult. Yeah, let's try this. All right. Let's try making a finger. All right. Like, you want a joint or what? All right. Shoot it. Yep. Do you want me to go back to? Oh, I should delete. Let me just put some text on that. Yep. Let me just put the text on that. Create. Oh, that's upside down. It's fine. I'll rotate that. That didn't get selected. Oh, that's weird. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Text doesn't go too well with 3D objects.
Can you like engrave that onto that actual equipment?
Yeah. You just have to change. So if you put text in here, it will show up as a 2D image, right? Once you're done with that, you just put it in the 3D printing software. I mean the laser cutting software. Sorry about that. And then you can select whatever color you need. So on our laser cutters, engraving is black. So you just make sure that that text is black. You make sure the cut lines are either, so if you're cutting this thing out on a laser cutter, you want to make the inner cuts first, then you do the outer cut, right? The reason is that if you do the outer cut first, the thing will fall down and shift, and when you do the inner cut, it won't be where you want it to be, right? So in this case, you would have those cuts, well that is actually an outer cut, but the internal 7mm spanner we made, that would be done as an inner cut. So that would be cyan, which is the first cut, and then the next cut would be green on the outside of it. So this external line will be green. When you do this in Rhino, you will probably have to join that thing. Like you have to join this whole curve as one single line. And if you don't do that, what happens in Rhino is it will cut one section, it will jump, unless you do something called vector optimization, which the laser cutter will calculate the best way to cut this out. If you don't do that, or if you don't join the lines, the laser cutter will just be all over the place and you'll just waste time laser cutting. This applies especially if you're making a large batch of models or anything like that. Let me just put the text back on here. Okay. Create. Oh. Alright, okay, stop sketch, here we go. Yeah? Well, it's, so I'll let him take a photo, but it's pretty much on the surface of it right now, right? There are other ways, so if you want to, say for example, if you wanted to 3D print this, right? Like what I did before, we would extrude that. Let's just do that once again. Oh, I'm not used to. Oh, that's already, so yeah, actually, that is on the surface of it. Now, if I remember, you can actually extrude text. Let me see. There was a way to extrude text. Let me see if that recognizes it. Yep, so there is another function called, where was it? Yeah, but there is a way, like if you want to 3D print this and have that indented, there is a way to extrude that down, and you can't do that. I just can't think of it at the top of my head. I've done it before. Yep. So let's go back to the finger part, right?
How do you enter a sketch so that face? How do you enter a sketch?
Oh, so middle mouse button. So whenever we're using Fusion, it does help to have a mouse trackpad. I wouldn't say trackpad, but mouse is pretty much what you want, right? It just helps to drag things around. If you have, depending on Windows or Mac, I'm usually on Mac, Control or Shift is the pan tool, scrolling is zoom, and then right click is that sort of function I talk about, that menu bar, right? We'll just reorientate it that way. But yep, let's just let me delete that. Yep, we'll delete that. So let's go start making a finger. Okay, let's see how we do this. There are a few ways of doing this. Let's just start with a circle, right? Simple circle, human fingers are around, let's say about 15 mil thick, right? So there's your base profile. Now I'll just rotate it this way so you can see. Next you hit E, you hit that, you extrude that up, right? Each finger, assume we'll make like a 3-finger joint. So let's say that is roughly about 20, yeah, like roughly each joint is about 20 mils or so. That's done there. Now we'll edit the surface. We'll edit that top face of that. So we'll just do edit profile sketch. Oh, not profile sketch. Sorry about that. Create sketch. You can sketch on that surface. So what we'll be doing is we'll be making 2 cutouts here. Actually, I'm just going to go with a line. So roughly about there. Now don't worry about going over, we can always trim those. Yep, so to save time, I will actually just mirror that along multiple axes. Right? So mirroring tool, we select these 2 curves, we hit mirror, selected that. Now we select the mirror line, which is this vertical axis. Oh, there we go, that's one done. That's done. Now we want to then mirror that onto the other side, so you can have something connected to. That and that and that. Now you hit mirror again. That's been selected. Now we just want to make sure we select the mirror line, which is this line right here. That's done on the other side. You hit OK. Now we'll just hit trim to remove any of this excess stuff. Okay. We'll stop that sketch. Now let me just rotate it there. So now we have these 2. We will extrude that down maybe 4 millimeters. Well, actually that's a bit too little. Let's say 6. No, let's just go for 10. Oh, 10. I can't even see what's going on here actually. -5, -8. Yep. So there you have sort of your finger, kind of. If you want to join that out, so you'll probably have pins in there. So I'm just going to edit that surface onto that. Now you probably can't see that clearly, right? So we just go line. Actually, no, we don't even need to do that. That's roughly center. You can find the center when you're actually doing this. Hit circle, that's center. Let's say we put like a 2 millimeter pin in there. Hit that. Done, right? Now you can extrude that. You can do one side or you can do 2 sides. We'll do 2 sides because we want them both way through. Distance doesn't matter too much. That's good. Now, there we go, right? You have your pins there for your fingers. Do that same on the other side. Let me see if I can just mirror that. Actually, what we'll do is, since I already done half of that, I can slice this down the center. Oh, that's not right. Yep. Another thing you can do is something called split body. Oh, God. Yep, that's gonna make you easier. Oh, that's weird. Okay, actually I messed that up. So what we'll do is we'll do something called split body. So we'll split this in half and we'll mirror it directly so I don't have to make 2 times of the same one. We're making, these guys wanted to learn how to make a finger. Huh? Yeah, you can't. You can right click. Yeah.
So because Fusion 360 treats everything context based, when you cut something like that, it will still associate the two together. So when you delete it,
it'll pop back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is you want to make a plane, right? So you do plane along path, or you can do plane at angle. We'll just do plane at angle. Make sure you select which plane it actually is, so we know we want to split this in half. Oh yeah, there was no line here. My bad. Yeah. So just draw a line down there, right? Construct plane. Actually, no, exactly. So mid plane. That's one plane. That's the other plane. Now you know those are 2 planes. That plane is right now in the middle. There's a tool called split. Where's split body? Here we go. It's a modifier. It's called split body. So body to split. This is the body. Splitting tool is the plane. That's what you do. Now you've selected the splitting tool. Hit OK. Now they're actually split in 2. Now you might not notice it at first, but here it is. It says bodies on this tab right here. Drop down. There's body 2. There's body 4. Just make sure you know which one's which. In this case, we don't need body 4. We delete that. Oh, what the hell just happened there? Yeah, I think. Oh, you can just hide it. You can just hide it. Either way, right? You just hide it. So once that is done, how do you? What the heck is going on here? Oh yeah, I have to hide the sketch. Actually, no. We'll just duplicate the body. What am I doing here? Yep. We'll just click all the. Oh, it's already gone. Oh, last one. Yep. Yep. We just hide the sketches so it doesn't look that ugly. Okay. Now we do. What's it called? It should be mirror, shouldn't it? Yeah. Oh, you can't mirror it. Sorry, you can't mirror a. You can mirror body. Yeah, a mirror body is different, right? Yep. There we go. So okay. Mirror face. Yeah. Bodies. Oh shit. Yep. Select the object. Then once you're done, you select the mirror plane, which is that. You hit OK, and you get your 2 halves, right? Can you trim those? No, you can't. It doesn't matter. There's no need to. It considers it as one body. Now, if you want to make more fingers, you can split that body in half again, and you just replicate it on the other side as well. Let's see can I do that right now? Actually, I can do that right now. So body, where am I? So we'll make a mid plane. So that's one plane. That's the other plane. Oh, come on. Oh, I selected the wrong plane.
We're trying to duplicate these.
Yeah. I want to split it in half and then duplicate the top and bottom. So we'll go construct mid plane. So you click on that's one plane. And then here's the other plane. Now it knows that that's the center. Okay. Next we go split body. So you select your body. Next is a splitting tool, which is right there. Hit OK. Now those 2 are split. Make sure that's body 2. You don't want to see that. And that's body 5. You don't want to see that either. All the sketches are hidden. Good here now. Next we select that again. Go modify. Not in modify. Sorry. Create mirror. Objects. So you don't want to. It's not an object. It's a body. Right. You select these 2. 1, 2. That's weird. All right. Let's try it again. Mirror. Bodies. That's done. Select your mirror plane, which is that one. There we go. All right. Now you have pretty much, I mean, the seams don't look that nice, but that's all right. They won't show up when you're actually 3D printing them. But yeah, essentially there's half your finger, well, 1/3 of your finger. Then the rest you just, what you can do is you can actually copy this file again. We'll just make a duplicate of that. Where am I? Move to group. What am I doing? Oh, no, I don't want to though. Yeah. It doesn't copy and paste.
Selecting the plane as well. So just hide all the planes.
Hide all the planes, yeah. Yeah, you want to hide the planes. Now just make sure you select all the bodies, which is that. Control C, Control V. There we go. Now you make a duplicate of that. Now here we go. We won't need these holes, but we'll just leave them there for now. You can delete those later. If you want to make the other part of your finger, you just select that. Let me just, oh yeah, so we just want to check the depth of that cut, of that extrude. So you go in and inspect. Here we go. You select that line. Now it shows you right here, that's at 8 millimeters, right? Close that. Now we go here, we select that, we hit extrude. Now for practicality, obviously they can be 8 millimeters or there would be no motion pretty much between those two. So for that purpose we'll do, I say 6 millimeters, so that would be 12, yes. Actually no, that'd be 14, my bad. My math is not good today. Go 14, right? That's roughly what you have there. You can duplicate that on the other side as well. Oops. Push. Oh. Stop that. Alright, let's try that again. Shift, extrude. We'll do that 14 again. There we go. Now pretty much that's your two halves of a finger, right? Now there is a way to do components in this, and that obviously is probably not going to be a very flexible finger in any way, shape or form, but it is pretty much the basics of a finger, right? You can do assembly if you want to test if they work. I don't want to get into that today. It is a bit complicated there. Yeah.
And if you were 3D printing it, don't forget about your tolerance, because obviously when you're 3D printing, the bed is quite hot and all your material's hot. So if you think about thermal expansion, as it cools down to room temperature, it will shrink. So I would recommend making your holes a little wider than the pins that it's supposed to be.
Usually 3D printing shrinks about 1 to 2% depending on like your filament. There's a lot of things, but if you're not sure about how much the 3D printer is shrinking, you just print a really small cube and then you measure the actual dimension to what you put in there, and then you just divide that. You find the 2 dimensions and you divide that, and then you find the midpoint. It's basic math, so you should, and then you just calculate that as a percentage. You go back into your 3D printers, the slicing software. So if it shrinks by 1% or just 1.01, it's pretty good. If you don't care, if it's just 2 parts interacting with each other that you've modeled and they're on the same 3D printer, it won't really matter too much, because if they shrink at the same rate. So if you account for tolerancing, it should be completely fine.
And in my experience, those don't print too nicely. So you're going to have to like pour it out a little bit if you want something really smooth.
Yep. Is there anything else anyone wants to learn how to make? So this one, depending on the quality of your printer, this one you wouldn't need supports actually.
Check if it's got flash.
That's fine. These holes, I mean, it wouldn't hurt, but it's a bit unnecessary. You could, yeah, I wouldn't, like if it was my own one, I probably wouldn't put supports there.
Yeah, the software will put it in for you depending.
Yeah, you can do auto-generate, you can select angles. I mean, because that is, pretty much that angle is greater than 45 or 50 degrees, it will probably generate supports, but I would probably not, it will print fine without these supports, because if you print these supports, they are a pain in the ass to remove. And you also have to, like, obviously with this one on over here, you can just print that flat, it's completely fine. This one you probably will need supports right there and there. Yeah, there's no way to get around this. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to print this thing on the side, because obviously.
Like, you can print it on the side,
but you'll have like a flat spot pretty much.
Yeah.
Or you need more supports. You probably need even more supports to support that thing, like stand it up. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You need to show how to combine stuff.
I can't remember how to do that.
It's in create or modify.
Modify.
Yeah,
yeah, you can combine,
yeah.
so you can combine.
So if you want all these bodies to become one body, you
like
can
that.
combine it. Yeah.
Target body, that's fine. Oh, I messed that up actually.
Oh, that's just the halves.
Yeah.
There's still one.
There's still one more.
Oh no, they're all combined.
Combined.
It's
just a seam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solids. I mean, feet.
Yep. And then what else is there? Yeah, there's also all these different tools you have. So you have render, right? That will drain a bit of your power. Render is just making things realistic, obviously. There's animation. So if you have a lot of interacting parts, you can click animation and show how they interact with each other. There's simulation, sort of like animation, but simulation is more in an engineering aspect. So if you want to see how a bolt might shear off, if you want to see how something might fail at a critical point, you have CAM. I mentioned that before. CAM is pretty much tooling for CNCs. There is CAM for 3D printing, but I wouldn't mess around with that. There's no point. There's your technical drawing, so we can do this. Just do it real quick. So drawing from design, CAD practice, just call it that. I'm going to do carpal tunnel like this. Right. So drawing, create new, that's fine. Template from scratch. There are templates if you want. Standard ISO, that's fine. Units, millimeters, A3, A4, A2, A1, whatever, it doesn't matter. We'll just go with A4. You get to choose your full assembly. You can do individual components if you want. We'll just do this component. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
They're all combined. Sorry.
They weren't all combined.
Yeah.
This is super useful for laser cutting because you want to be outputting a 2D file, not a 3D file.
It does take a while to load. There we go. Yep, so
it's going to do its thing.
Yep, there we go. Now you get all these different options. Okay, so if you want, there we go. Still loading.
You have to place the object.
Yeah, I know. I've done this in industrial design. Pain in the ass. Right, so you can place your base view, right? You can choose your orientation. So that's front view. If you want isometric view, which is something like that. I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest. If I do isometric, I do southwest isometric. It doesn't really matter too much. You got your scale. So if we want to do like 4, yeah, it's pretty big. It takes up the whole page pretty much. We'll do 3, right? And it'll change into 2D, right? There's also section views. So if you want to select your parent view, for example, if you want to see the inside of that and that. Oops, sorry, I messed that up. I should know better than this. Yeah, so if you want to see a section of that, specify a start point. And then roughly there. I think that should do it, right? From cut. Oh, come on.
You have to do it on the 2D view, I think.
You do project view.
Yeah, do a projected view first.
Yeah, we'll do a projected view. Yep. Oh yeah, that's right. With section, you actually have to do 2D side view. So we'll just do base view. Chuck that in there. We'll do that by 2, just so we can see. Oh, sorry. 2, right? That shows you. We'll go into section view. Select your parent view. it's generating it. That came out a bit weird. Okay. So yeah, there's your section view of it, right? Hash lines show that it's solid or where it got sliced. Those are just, this is actually a top-down view. Yeah. Yeah. And then you can put all your different, technical references in here. Australia's AS1100. Yeah. No, it is usually like this. So this is A3, right? Like this is pretty standard. It's not really pixelated. It's just showing it being.
It's just how it renders.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I were to put it off on a piece of paper,
It'll be smooth. So you can just click PDF output at the top.
Yep. Or you can PDF.
Yeah.
There's PDF. There's DWG. There's CSV. You don't want to mess with CSV. Nothing stopping you. There's text, right? If you want to say for that, select that edge. Just want to specify what it is. Top edge, whatever you want, doesn't matter. Now this is very important. If you want someone to make something for you, you have something called dimensions, right? So obviously if I give this to a machinist, they don't know what is what, right? So it's very important that we specify our dimensions. So from there to there we know it's 15. You can drag that out. It shows you there to there 4.85, from there to there 20, and so on, right? And then we just do another one like this. Is pretty much covers all your bases if someone were to make this. And then you get the whole. Now with dimensions, there are many very different forms. Like you got radius dimension, diameter dimension, angle, line dimension, angular dimension. There's a lot. Just pretty much depends on which two parts you decide to measure.
So we can go from free sketch and make it onto this 2D.
Yeah. 2D. So let's put it this way: if you have a 2D drawing, there is software out there to make it 3D. It is difficult to go. Well, if you take, for example, we want to make a boat, right? We could laser cut this boat theoretically. You just have to slice it each individual layer. They would have to. It would be staggered, obviously, but there is a way to do that, right? It is easier to make something from 2D from 3D, right? Let's try something. I'm not gonna even bother saving this.
But I don't think Fusion can do a 2D into a 3D.
It can, but it's all dependent on your own skill, right? So, for example, if we insert an image, yeah, what a lot of people do is they insert an image, they trace over that, they extrude it. If you get a 3D scan, obviously that saves you a lot of hassle. If you take 6 photos, like front, back, rear, top, down, left, right, you can sort of trace it out and sort of guess the rough shape of it.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of work.
Yeah. It's not automated or anything.
No. Honestly, get a 3D scanner, scan your object, smooth it out. Yeah. I mean, half the things I design, I use calipers and just guess and check. It takes a bit of trial and error, but calipers are your best friend, pretty much. Yeah. What else is there to go on?
Did you say that? How to do components?
I don't want to.
I can do it.
That's next week.
Oh, next week?
It's 3D next week. I don't want to get too much into it.
Yeah, true. Today was 2D.
Yeah. I already got a lot into 3D today.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Did you do the wrench? Is the wrench still on?
Yes. Oh, I closed it. Oh no. Yeah, I closed it. Yeah. Oh wait, what happened to the wrenches we printed?
Oh, they should be here.
Alright, anything else anyone wants to know how to design? Any other questions? Any other things about functionality within Fusion?
I don't know if you have time. You know, how to animate it. I know you say about 70 before you go to
Okay, we can probably, we'll give this a go.
Find the wrenches.
So, if you want to animate something, you want to convert it into a component, right? So, this is a body. So, body, we do, where is it?
I have the wrenches.
Okay, later. Where were we? Oh, yep, so we just select the bodies. Oh, let me join that first together. Let me combine that. combine, target body, yes, tool bodies 3, operation join, new component, yes. So when you do that, you want to make sure it's a new component. Hit OK. Now there we go. Component 1.1, origin 0. So that shows you it's component 1.1. What we'll do next is we'll do this. I'll just combine it once again. We can make that a new component again. Tool bodies. Well, it's already itself, isn't it?
You could make a component from body.
Yep.
Just right
Actually, that's already done.
Right click on body 12.
Yep. So that's already a body. That's body 12. You right click on it. Create components from bodies. Click on that. Now you have 2 components. Component 1.1, component 2.1. Or 2, yep. Right. Body 1. Now, in this case, what we do is we do something we can call assemble, or you can do joint. Yeah, we'll just do joint. Right. Component 1. You select which join to join where. So that is 1. And then component 2, we want to join it on this corner, right? So, oh, I might have messed that up a bit.
You can flip it.
I can flip that. Oh, I messed it up. Oh. Let me try that. Let's try that again. Assemble, joint. Oh, why is it new component? Joint, component 1. Let's try aligning this edge with this edge. Why does it keep doing that?
If you want to like ask people to drop pieces right now, it's like in some people have literally 100 already.
What?
You want to ask people for pieces, so it's like
Oh yeah.
Who's grabbing? Oh, Daniel's here.
Yeah, so let's just try joining them together. Usually if you design stuff properly, they do join properly together. Yeah, see there's multiple types of motion, right? There's rigid, there's revolution. Let's just drag that up a bit so you can see. Ball planar, pin slot. Ideally this is probably what we call pin slot. But we haven't drilled those pins out for them. Yep, so you can do that if you want it. Obviously that's not the right way of doing it, but just for the sake of demonstration, we'll just assume that that actually happens, right? Next we'll go into animation, or we'll go into animation. Now what you can do is, in animation you can drag the camera around, you can click on that, you can click transform components, you can drag that, right? Okay. Now that's already one scene essentially. We can view it. No, wait, actually that's my bad. Transform components, restore home, and then there's another scene. You can also auto explode, but there's nothing to explode. Manual explode, nah. Restore home. Yeah, so usually if you have a bunch of, yeah, that's what happens, right? Simple animation shows the parts interacting with each other. Obviously it's not great because we didn't do this properly, but if you have more time and you get good at this, it's really easy to animate these things. Now we'll go back to the model. You actually can see it shows in there. Oh, it split itself somehow. Oh no, it's just a duplicate body. Yeah, but like I said before, you don't want to delete any bodies. You just want to hide it so it doesn't mess around with your timeline. So like we mentioned, the timeline's down here. If you change something that's referencing something else, it will mess up the whole sequence. So you just right click it and hide it, right? Okay, anything else? You can do revert. let's see what else. There's not much. I mentioned there was that one thing called. So if you go, let's do this. Let's go on. This is probably one thing that is. I'll just go on Thingiverse and grab an STL off it. Okay, let's just. Yeah, we just go with Benchy. Alright. Just grab that. Just download it real quick. I'll show you. Right, I'll come in and download this. So if you find something you like on Thingiverse, or if you're too lazy to design your own, come in here, download the STL. Yep, that's done. Now we go in here. Now Fusion does take STLs. It's just a matter of how well it's willing to play with it. Where are we? Where is that STL? No, might have been in a different folder. No, okay, Simple Book 4, here, I just missed it. Simple Book 4, here we go. Open that. It does, because Fusion is cloud-based, it might take a minute or two to upload. That's done. We upload that. It takes some time, shouldn't be too bad. It's a small file. We'll just wait for that. Yeah. Alright. It's done, almost done uploading. Well. Yeah, oh yeah, another thing with Fusion, it will say, please do not close until everything's been uploaded. I do recommend doing that. It's just that it'll save locally as you're working on it, but if you don't, it just doesn't save to the cloud pretty much. There's no harm in letting it, but yeah. So that's alright, we'll come in and edit the boat. Okay. Here we go. Now when you import an STL, there is little functionality that Fusion can do by itself. For example, we'll just move this, so we'll rotate it on its base. Yeah. Oh, I'll just go -90. Here we go. That's flat, right? Maybe I don't like this up here. You can do something called edit form. T. There is a lot of stuff to edit in here, which I don't recommend you messing around with STLs. But you can create a box, center, one side. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, you can essentially extend a part of. Where were we? Here we go. Obviously, you can extend parts of a model you have. You can sculpt, merge edges. So obviously there's a lot of edges in here, and it is hard to select which edges you do want to merge. And this STL can't actually tell how many edges this is, because this is actually a mesh. It's not a body. It's a difference between a mesh and a body. There is a way to convert this, if I remember. If you go to model, it can actually there we go. You can, let's see, yeah, so you want to convert that from a mesh to a B-rep. B-rep is actually editable, contains a large number of facets, cannot be, yeah, so that's why I said complex shapes do make it a bit difficult. No reason to mess around with STLs, but it's fun little skill if you do want to learn. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just close that from him. Document is in use. Fair enough. Don't save. Delete. Yes. Now I'll just while we're here, this is what it says. Automatic save and close. You can enable that. You can disable that. Click save. Saving and closing. Like I said, it will take a while to upload. And once you upload, like it's just uploading it. It's already saved locally, so it doesn't matter too much. All your changes are there. Yeah, pretty much sorted. Yeah, let me just check with Daniel, see what he wants to do.
I forgot to do the screen. It's all from the future. Okay, that's fine. It's still recording, right? So it's fine.